Hey, we're back. Hope you enjoyed Super Bowl weekend, everyone. It's Weather for Weather Geeks, the Monday evening edition here on the 5th day of February 2018. It's National Weather Person's Day, in case you haven't heard. February 5th is National Weather Person's Day. Thanks to everyone who chimed in on social media about that subject, and I want to extend my gratitude to Jess Brigani and Andrew DePaulo and AJ Harris for making it a great weather team here at 21 WFMJ. We strive to bring you the most accurate forecasts, and we strive on this video to bring you the most in-depth, detailed forecasts that you can find anywhere here in the Mahoning and Shenango Valley. So let's get right to it and geek out, if you will. We've got plenty to talk about tonight. First of all, the cold. We had a hard time getting out of the teens today, and compared to the 7 o'clock hour on Sunday, it's 16 degrees colder here in Youngstown. This recent turn towards colder weather has made the ice cover on Lake Erie shoot up again. We were down as low as, pretty close to 50%, but the most recent observations show between 75 and 82, 83% ice coverage on Lake Erie now, and that ice coverage will likely stay in that neighborhood until the weekend, when our next thaw will start to kick in. It looks pretty cold until the weekend. All right, our first wave of snow is tracking our way. We're going to be talking about 3 pretty good chances for accumulating snow this week. One tonight, one Wednesday morning, the other on Friday. Let's start with number 1. This is what it looked like at a little after 7 o'clock with steady snow around Springfield, Illinois, and heading over towards I-69 in parts of Indiana. And this is heading over into the I-75 corridor in western Ohio as well. This is a pretty fast mover, and it's weakening a little, but it'll still be enough to produce enough snow to cause some problems here later on tonight. I think a little finger might extend to areas north of I-80 initially, around 11:30, while the rest of us stay snow-free. But everyone's going to start getting in on the snow, I think, as we head towards the 1, 2 o'clock hours, 3 o'clock tomorrow morning. But again, this is a pretty quick hitter, so it comes, it goes, and already the snow is tapering off or starting to become a little more disorganized by maybe 4:35 in the morning. And then as we head into the daylight hours, there can probably still be some residual snowflakes and flurries and things like that at around sunrise, but I think the steadiest of the snow will be long gone by the time we hit daybreak on Tuesday morning. Cold day tomorrow. We'll hang on to the clouds in the afternoon, and temperatures in the mid-20s. So an hour-by-hour breakdown of the snow chances. Again, you might see a little bit of snow, I-80 and north, before midnight, but for most of us, this will be after midnight into the overnight, and then snow chances decrease fairly rapidly as we head towards daybreak and into the mid-morning hours on your Tuesday. Now, this graphic shows our computer models all the way out through Wednesday, but on the first wave of moisture here, based on a 10-to-1 ratio, most of our models are kind of between a half an inch, or I should say between an inch and a half, but we have to keep in mind that it's not 10-to-1 tonight. It's probably more like 15-to-1 snow to liquid ratios. Pretty fluffy, dry snow, and therefore I think 2 inches is definitely attainable for some places. Now, a good average will be 1.5 to 2, but could some places see 2 to even 2 1/4? Yeah, that's possible. Enough certainly to make things slick tomorrow morning. It's going to be cold tonight, so road treatment not particularly effective with temperatures near 20, as they'll be all night. All right, so we're between systems tomorrow. Tomorrow afternoon is fine. It's just cold. Here comes the next system. Now, this will be a stronger, more organized system, an actual area of low pressure to track on the weather map here. I think the snow returns very, very late tomorrow night, or very early in the morning on Wednesday. Before daybreak, it'll probably start to snow. Now, the mixing is going to try to get close to our area. We might see sleet down towards Route 30, or maybe down towards East Liverpool, maybe Elwood City, maybe Newcastle. For most of us, though, this is just a snowstorm. It may rain as far north as Wheeling, Steubenville. Certainly Pittsburgh has a chance of seeing some rain. But for our viewing area, even if there's a little bit of mixing south and east of Youngstown, this is primarily a snowstorm for us. But it is a quick hitter. And, it wasn't that long ago, it was just a few days ago that a lot of people were talking about the Weather Channel forecasts in their app and hearing about this huge midweek storm and that sort of thing. And we said, there's a reason we don't put out accumulation numbers 4 days out, because things can change as far as speed and strength of systems and that sort of thing. And this thing looks a little faster and a little weaker than it did a couple of days ago. And while the snow is going to accumulate and cause some problems Wednesday morning, it's going to come and go pretty quick, and that's going to keep the accumulation numbers from getting too high. Enough to be an inconvenience, sure, but not a big blockbuster storm. The storm then starts to pull away as early as about lunchtime on Wednesday. This is really a problem from about 5 a.m. on Wednesday through about noon on average. We're left with residual snow showers and gusty winds. Wednesday evening, probably some light additional accumulations with this Wednesday evening. I don't think it's much, though. Not a whole lot in the way of backlash moisture there. Then clouds stick around into the day on Thursday. Now, with storm number 2, here's what I've done with the snow forecast. Heaviest amounts to our east of I-79, out towards DuBois and Clearfield, and up towards Bradford, PA, and Williamsport, and then into the southern tier of New York, around Binghamton and Elmira, back towards Jamestown. But here locally, a good 3 to 5, I think, is a pretty good average. Now, your best chance of 5, I think, will be kind of in this zone, just north of a potential mixing zone where the deeper moisture is, maybe from Poland to Newcastle to Mercer, kind of this zone. That might be the zone with your best chance of seeing the top end of the range. Best chance of seeing the lower end of the range is probably farther north and west, where the moisture will be somewhat lacking. You may struggle to get much above 3 from maybe Austintown back towards Beloit and Sebring, Hanoverton, and then up to Newton Falls, Mesopotamia. That's the zone where I have a hard time believing a whole lot of places see 5, but I could see 3. A lot of places getting to 3 back in that zone. So, again, those are the numbers. What about the impacts? Certainly tomorrow morning's commute can be slick. It's not the most snow in the world, but the timing is bad, and again, it's going to be cold, so salt is not particularly effective. Wednesday morning's commute will be even worse, because this will be during the heart of rush hour Wednesday morning. Most of our accumulating snow tonight wraps up before the heart of rush hour tomorrow morning. But Wednesday morning, the snow's falling during the heart of rush hour. It's more snow. It's, an average of 3 to 5. So I've got, major impacts here right as people are heading to work and school, and therefore I suspect there's going to be quite a few school adjustments Wednesday morning. Some 2-hour delay is a possibility tomorrow morning. Wednesday morning, if I were to be if I were a betting man on this, I would suspect some school closings for Wednesday because of the timing. As I always remind everybody, that is outside of my area of expertise. Your guess is as good as mine sometimes as to what the school districts would do, but just based on the amounts and the timing, there's going to be some adjustments, I would say, Wednesday morning. This will not be the kind of snow that causes any power problems. It's not a heavy wet snow. It's not particularly windy. So yeah, just plan on a pretty tough go of it, no matter where you're traveling across the valley for Wednesday morning. Now, number 3 is on Friday. Now, this is a weaker area of low pressure, but this still, much like tonight, you don't want to get too caught up in numbers because the impacts could still be high, whether it's an inch or 2 or 4. The impacts are probably high on Friday with this. It's not the biggest storm in the world, but I could see where this is enough to make things real slick Friday morning. The snow may linger into parts of the afternoon. Now, we're not talking about numbers with this one yet, but I think enough to shovel is a good possibility with this fast-moving system on Friday. All right, longer range. I'm looking for some good news here, and if you followed my longer range thoughts last week, I was talking about how the longer range is looking milder than we previously thought, and that trend has continued with the longer range modeling as we head into early week. The cold starts to ease this weekend, and then the pattern really shifts across the almost the entire North American continent, really, as we head into middle and the latter portions of February. Look at all the warm anomalies shown by the European modeling here as we go. This is very end of February, what I'm showing you right here. End of February, very early March. That has, there's a fair amount of agreement here between that and some of the American modeling. This is what we call the Climate Forecast System model. And again, notice how the blues and greens kind of disappear by mid-month. And we're looking at a lot of warm anomalies here in Canada and across a lot of the U.S., starting, really in earnest around the middle of the month and then probably continuing through just about the end of the month. Now, the CFS does try to bring some cool anomalies into parts of the eastern U.S., especially south of I-70 at the end of the month. But for the most part, the flavor here is pretty darn mild for mid to late February. So February is off to a cold and stormy start. Again, we're going to have a pretty good snowpack on the ground by the end of this week, but mid to late February, I'm making no comment on snow at this point, but temperature-wise, pretty high confidence that we're looking at a pretty good thaw, I think, as we go deeper into the month. All right, some more updates this evening on tonight's snow. I'll post some radar snapshots here on Facebook and on Twitter as well. I'm Eric WFMJ on Twitter, Eric WFMJ on Instagram. I'll have a full update tonight at 11. Make sure you tune in if you're a morning commuter tomorrow. Make sure you check in with Jess tomorrow morning on air and online. She'll have everything you need to know about how the roads are tomorrow morning as we head into Tuesday. All right, have a great Monday night, everyone.